We are live from New York. No people yet. Wonder how long it'll take to kick in. One person's in. All right. Hello, one person who remains anonymous. 3 minutes until it was supposed to start. Maybe that's me. I don't know. One person, 0 likes. I'm unliked. Beautiful day. 4 people. I hope everyone's 4th of July was well. Catherine, how are you? Happy 4th of July. Nicola, what's going on? How are you? Happy 4th, my friend. Kathy Parker. Simone, Amber. Luft. What's going on? Yo-O Carlos? I'll just call you Carlos because I don't want to butcher your first name. Andres, Kyle, Sandy Williams, Mike Sherman, David. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Happy 4th. Joan, how are you? Absolutely, Carlos. Absolutely. Beretta Vandy, how are you? Truth Quest. I don't eat no strawberry shortcake. I'm a man's man. I eat cheesecake. I'm doing well. I figure we'll do an hour live stream on the 4th of July so I can go watch fireworks with my daughter and hang out with you guys for a little bit. Busted ass today. Went hiking yesterday. Did you guys catch the video? Really good video. I went really deep. Did you see the cliffside that I was at? Man, that was cool as hell. Really good day yesterday, but it kicked my ass. And then I mowed my lawn today. Went and saw my dad and mom, grabbed their laundry, did their laundry, got the live stream set, did uploads, yada, yada. Steph, the contractor, you and I, my friend, this coming week, I want to get you back on the show. I actually talk about you in the second half, which will be up after this live stream. Happy 4th of July to everybody. I am so glad that I have 50 people spending it with me. But yeah, what a hike. What a freaking hike yesterday was, man. I had a blast. You probably couldn't tell, but it was hotter than the dickens. And, it was just a really nice, peaceful hike. Really nice. Let off one of my fireworks and the neighbor called the cops. Rattled the windows all over. Beretta Vandy. Oh, no. Truth Quest is from the Australia, from the land down under. Truth Quest makes sandwiches out of Vegemite. Double D, David, Kenneth, happy 4th of July. Janie, even though I wish you a happy 4th already, happy 4th, dearie. Oh, yeah. So, I got some encounters. We only got an hour. But we only got an hour, but $20 is $20. I am a little early. Well, it's 8:01 right now. Luke Thompson, how are you? I come from the land down under. All right, here we go. In 2013, I moved with my family to a foreclosed 6-bedroom home on 14 acres straight up in the middle of nowhere in the Poconos. My dad and I noticed very weird things going on the second we moved in. But my mom and sisters seemed not to notice these things. Everyone besides me and my dad in the entire family are the, oh, it's just the wind type of people, if you get my meaning. Not going to go into everything that happened there, as it would fall under different paranormal phenomenon. There is some evidence that the entire area of where this house is located is haunted, as in ghosts, Native American burial grounds, and other things. Now, historically speaking, with actual evidence, people settled here around the old mill area long ago and brutally killed many Iroquois. This area is very spread out over miles of heavily wooded mountains. Anyway, my uncle on my mom's side and his girlfriend came to visit my parents' home. They do this quite often, as my parents always have people over for beer, games, and bonfires. I just want to start off by saying my uncle is a non-believer, a Harley rider to this day. Andy Davis, what's up? I caught you out of the corner of my eye. I have never seen him very scared of anything or anyone before this sighting. My uncle and his girlfriend are playing foosball with my parents when they realize it is 12:30 a.m., so they decide to head home. They're taking the back roads, and once they turn onto Running Valley Road, 6 minutes from the house, my uncle's girlfriend sees two figures. They are pretty far from them at this point. There are two small figures waiting to cross the road. Just to mention, there is nothing out here. No houses besides one abandoned house that is still 2 miles up the road. Only thing in this vicinity is an old cave. These figures are attempting to cross the road to go into the woods, which is very odd because of the time and location. They are now approaching these figures. Headlights start to shine directly on them. Both my uncle and his girlfriend see two young girls, aged 9 through 11 approximately, one much bigger than the other, wearing what my uncle best describes as early 1900s church clothing, specifically dresses to the knee with white cotton shawls or cropped sweaters and flats. Weird, right? WTF are two 10-year-old girls doing at 12:30 in the morning in the middle of nowhere wearing church clothes? They also noticed the bigger child had her arms wrapped around the smaller one, like you would do if she was hurt, scared, or cold. At this point, my uncle's girlfriend is like, "It's children. We need to stop and help them." Now, at this point, the truck is almost right next to the little girls. Both had their heads held down. Then the bigger one of the two starts to pick her head up to look at the passing vehicle. Both my uncle and his girlfriend noticed the girl had no eyes, just black holes, as if they were carved straight into her face. His girlfriend says, "WTF was that? You saw that, right? Oh my God, turn around. Go back right now." My uncle, who is scared shitless, takes off flying to get home. They then get home and get into an argument because she wants to drive back and see what was up. Grabs her own car keys, and my uncle basically was like, "You're not going back there. We are never going on that road again." He calls my parents in an extreme panic, tells them that they are bugging out because they know he would never lie or to be freaked out if it wasn't warranted. So my mom starts to tell me everything. Mind you, my family knows nothing of black-eyed children and never heard of them before. I send my mom an article to forward to my uncle with some very basic information. Young kids, no eyes, dreadful feeling, sometimes outdated clothing, hitchhiking, or at your door looking for help. Now my whole family is bugging. Sorry for this being long-winded. I just wanted to share it. DB Mac, what's going on? Victoria Victor. John Holtz, how are you? I brought something extra special for the 4th of July. I brought the Aztec death whistle, my friends. I don't know how to do this damn thing. There we go. Haha, $20 is $20, DB Mac. It's 85 in upstate New York, 82 in Chicago. What's up, Cody Laughing Wolf? How are you? You're welcome, DB Mac. You're welcome. Yeah, that's at 8 o'clock at night, Truth Quest. 8 o'clock at night, and it's still 85. It was about 9. Met Fury, holy shit. Happy birthday and happy 4th of July, my friend. Haven't seen you in a while, brother. The Aztec death whistle, baby. All right. Here we go. A gentleman named Mike lives in Irwin, Tennessee, along with his wife and their dog. Mike and his wife have had 2 encounters with feral men or feral humans. One encounter as recent. Mike said the first encounter was back in June of 2019 when he and his wife were both in their living room together watching TV at around 8 p.m. They both were startled when they saw a deformed man's face appear at the window. Mike's wife literally yelled in fright. It stared at them and gave them an evil smile and ran off into the woods. They did call the police. The police searched the yard and the tree line, but found nothing. By 11 p.m., while in bed, Mike and his wife, who couldn't sleep and had a gun nearby, heard disturbing laughter from outside of the window. The laugh was a lunatic type of laugh. Mike took his gun and went to the door and out onto the porch where he yelled, "Get the hell out of here," and shot 2 rounds into the ground. Mike saw not 1, but 2 wild men run from behind his shed into the woods. Mike was so disturbed at the sighting of them that he shut and locked the door and returned to bed with his wife. But they both did not sleep. The following morning, Mike's wife routinely lets their dog outside. The dog will do her business, then will always return to the front door and scratch to be let back in. The dog has not been seen again since his wife let her outside that morning. Mike's wife had a sighting recently. She was returning home from the supermarket and was unloading groceries from her truck when something up in the trees grabbed her attention. She saw a deformed man in the tree staring at her, grinning wildly. She got back into her truck and left and drove to her husband's office. They both don't know what to do because the police are finding nothing, and they feel like they are not being taken seriously by law enforcement. Mike did install several security cameras. The description of the men: taller than 6 feet, thin but toned bodies, long dark hair on their heads with patches of hair throughout their body, pale grayish skin, long fingernails, only 1 tooth in their mouth. It seemed like on that wide grin. Eyes are large and wide and are black. Looks like a man / Bigfoot / troll mix. Deformed features in their face and head. Mike did locate the dog about 0.8 of a mile into the woods dead. The dog was not in great condition, and I will not go into details here, but the fur color was how he recognized his dog. To be conservative, there was not much left but fur and bones. The wife does believe the feral humans were responsible. Mike and his wife continue to have sightings, but mostly up in the trees. They've excluded the police because the police never find anything and have told Mike and his wife that they are most likely seeing campers throughout the woods. His wife stated that she is aware of times when the feral humans are near because of an odor, a very distinct odor. The wife seems to be having more sightings than her husband. They believe the feral men are more interested in the wife. They have had one other additional scare of something peeking through their window and described the face looking very evil, like Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings, describing the hit and miss strings of long hair and also a bare scalp. They have heard lunatic-type laughing throughout the woods. This is not an everyday occurrence, but they are afraid. They are mindful and careful. Mike says it's one of those things. You try to live with it, but stay out of the woods and stay armed just in case. The wife is sure these feral human are not Bigfoot and not campers messing with them. What's up, Troy? Happy 4th of July, my friend. Hey, baby. Love you too, baby. My dad is doing better. He was in bed all day today. He didn't do his walking. He doing better, but I think he just needed a day of rest. He's been home for a month, and I think because he's been really pushing himself to get stronger and gain more weight and such. But thank you for asking, Amber. War Angel, how are you? James Escobar, how are you tonight? Happy 4th of July. Lady J Homestead, known back home, how are you? Hot in the Arizona territories. Yeah. Dis, what's going on? Honey and oats. I think he eats honey and oats. I think he eats grape nuts and honey and oats for breakfast. Not both. Like, I think he alternates. You guys getting ready for fireworks later? Yeah, I saw the hearts. I am too. 120 people. What's up, Tyler Steven? Captain Kirk, how are you guys? 8 months sober today. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. No, I'm scared we'll start a fire. Ooh, there's a nice breeze, but it's still 80. Yeah, it's still 85. Whoa. Yeah, there is a nice breeze. Hey, simmer down there. Put this on here. Yes, Boom Squad, I did. I printed it out. I'm going to probably read it this week sometime. There. Put that there. This is pretty interesting. I stumbled upon this and I wanted to share this with you guys. When I was in high school, I had a teacher who was in the Third Army during World War II. He was actually in a hospital ward with Patton when the guy was slapped, worshipped the ground Patton walked on. When they were liberating death camps, Mr. P was with Patton at the Buchenwald. They went into one of the labs. Patton left sick. He couldn't take it. Mr. P walked out with him. He gave Mr. P his famous ivory-handled pistol with bullets and told him to go back and put them out of their misery. What they found, according to Mr. P, was one human. He went in and did what Patton told him to do. He walked out and started drinking that night and drank until 1970 or so, sobering up when he began teaching school. He's the reason I became active in state politics. I asked him about what he found that day. He said he would never speak of it. It was too vile and too horrible. Patton couldn't even take it. From what I gather, they then destroyed everything they could find, including notes and records. Patton did not want to repeat any repeats of the experimentation. I never thought much about it until a discussion of Dulce. I live in Lincoln County, so it is in New Mexico. There is so much military stuff going on here. You finally give up even wondering about it. I never even thought about this stuff, but Mr. P said Patton stressed the fact that he did not want anyone coming across the records to repeat the experimentations. Is this what they are doing? This just leads to any number of questions, including the death of Patton. Mr. P swore he was murdered. The state was basically on lockdown during and after World War II due to the bomb, Los Alamos, and the whole 9 yards. I've never given the Dulce-based story any credibility, but I could see the possibility of someone having rescued other records and continuing the horror. According to one of my sources, the majority of 911 calls to the police are dealing with local Bigfoot. My neighbor has seen it twice. It prowls around the condos. Freaked her out one night. Has freaked out another friend. Something has tried to open my front door. Candy Phillips, happy 4th. When I looked out the peephole, this huge dark hand was over it. Having opened my storm door, which is always locked, a few nights after that, something peed all over my door. This has happened several times. It pees a good 5 feet off the ground. No one wants to talk about it. I finally managed to get confirmation that one of the top hunters is tracking one of these things about a mile east of me as the crow flies. We have a lot of weird stuff going on in New Mexico. Yeah, I don't think, I honestly, like, Dulce was there. That base was there long before the Nazi experimentations. I think the Germans and their mad scientists probably learned a lot from like the Dracos and the reptilians well before the war. So Moose and Johnny, how are you guys? Sonic Fox, happy 4th. I'm not sure where Clint Eastwood lives. Alan Howell, how are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. America, rockin' steady. What's going on, brother? How about the news? Supreme Court, I guess, are letting some of the January 6th people go. I think Biden's losing more hair than he already was. Scary guy. What's up, 5 Rings? What's up, brother? How are you? Happy 4th. Johnny, I hope your life calms down a little bit and you get settled, my friend. But you know what they say? $20 is $20. Okay, let's see what I got here in my pile of stories and encounters and such. Dave Curtis, thank you. Lake, how are you guys? Lake 17 is with us. All right. So, what the hell? Here we go. This is cool. This one's cool. I thought of everybody when I found this one. Francis Peck, how are you? Steph, have a good night, my friend. Happy 4th of July. I'm on High Country Fire Patrol. Be safe, brother. Don't burn your sack off, please. Field some live Q&A. I did live Q&A a long time ago before other people were doing it. It would be, it takes up a lot of time and room. I think I might do a Q&A video again where I called people and recorded it, but I'm not an expert, so I don't like Q&As. I don't think anyone's an expert, so I mean it's kind of worthless. That's just my opinion. Well, anybody that's not like Victor, I did Q&As with Victor because people wanted to ask him questions, but I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I know anything more than you guys do, All right, here we go. My partner and I are avid hikers. One July, we went on a trip and decided to camp at this spot we love just west of the Shenandoah National Forest. It's quiet, off the beaten path, and offers absolutely spectacular views of both Shenandoah and portions of George Washington National Forest. The first day and evening of this trip itself was nice and uneventful, though we did not sleep super well because of the humidity. The next morning, we decided to go for a hike in a portion of Jefferson National Forest we had never been to before. It consists of ATV trails and about a dozen campsites, but has trails that lead to an old fire tower we had been wanting to check out. Goddamn wind. There. We had been wanting to check out. Where the fuck did I go? Hang on. Sorry. Wind messed me up. Okay. It was a 45-minute drive from our campsite, mostly back roads. When we got there, the first thing that stuck out to us was how empty the campsites were. We actually didn't camp there the night before because we had heard the site is usually packed, and we knew we wouldn't arrive early enough in the weekend to get a spot. There were only 2 spots taken, and one was a decimated tent and a bunch of garbage. It looked like someone had been there for a while. But it was deserted when we arrived. In another, there was a young woman, I'm guessing in her late teens, setting up a small backpacking tent. There was a truck and one other smaller car in the parking lot. We parked and started getting our gear together, and the woman approached us to ask if we knew where the trailhead was. I told her that we had read that it branched off about 100 yards into one of the ATV tracks, but we weren't 100% sure which. Since I was getting such weird vibes from this place, I kind of hoped she'd stick around and go find it with us. But she thanked us and just took off in general direction. We set off and walked up and down a few of the trails until we found the walking path. We saw 2 ATVs shoot by us at one point, but otherwise didn't encounter anyone else, including the woman from earlier. It took us about an hour to get to the top of the mountain where the fire tower was. It was an old metal structure. You have to climb a narrow set of stairs to get to the top of it. We got up and looked around, took some pictures, and started heading back down. Honestly, the view was kind of a letdown. About halfway down, very suddenly, everything stopped. Birds and bugs. It was dead silent. And I don't know quite how to put this in words, but it felt like this ancientness of the forest was contorting and crushing us. I felt trapped and cornered in spite of an expanse around us. My partner and I looked at each other and wordlessly started to book it out of there. We started running back to the car, but the feeling only followed us. As we were rounding one of the switchbacks, we heard this unearthly shriek, like a cross between metal on metal and a choir screaming off key. We saw something. I just got a glimpse of it before we blacked out. I don't know how to describe it other than it looked huge, despite clearly not taking up much physical space, and moving in writhles and flashes. Writhles. It didn't have any color. It just felt evil and empty. I probably only perceived it for a half a second before my memory completely gave out. When we finally came to, we were sitting in the car. 2 hours had passed, double the length of the time that it took us to get there. I don't know if we lost consciousness or just somehow blocked those hours out. I learned later the exact same thing happened to my partner. Both of the cars were next to us in the parking lot, and there was still just that 2-tent campsite. The woman wasn't in hers, and it looked exactly the same as when she left. I think about her all the time, and I've spent a ton of time trying to figure out if someone went missing in that area while we were up there. It took a few months for my partner and I to talk about that day. We still love to hike, but honestly haven't been able to go to the Appalachian since. What's up, dude from Texas? Eric Baker, what's going on? Wow, there's more people than I thought would be. Happy 4th of July, guys. Is Nino? Nino, you sexy mother. What's going on? Nick, how are you? Mark Preston. Yeah, I've actually caught that metal sound, Mark Preston. Yeah, I know who you're talking about that reported it. Corny motherfucker. Not you. But I've actually caught the sound like real life, and it was pretty intense and scary. To me, it sounded like, and you guys that have seen the video can attest to it. To me, it sounded like a windmill or those things that kids had in the park when we were little, and we'd like grab the bar and run as fast as we could and jump on it if that metal was like rusty and dry, or almost like a metal detector, that squelch kind of. It was a really odd sound. Yeah, definitely. I believe it is a portal opening. Franco, I'm glad you're here with us. Yeah, a rusty gate. Very cool. Yeah, thank you, Dis. I remember that day like it was yesterday because it was windy, and I was like, guys, that's not the trees. Like, I didn't want people to be like, that's trees blowing in the wind. So ironically enough, I had caught the difference. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Tyler, be safe. Drive safe, my friend. Let me just see who I missed. Beverly Jagger, how are you? Pops, you're fine. You're fine. You're never late. You're always here. Nino, that sexy MFer is here. I can't believe Matt Fury's here tonight, too. That's awesome. Oh, hang on. I got to get another water. Oh, I am parched today. It is real hot out. Whew. I live by a cemetery. A lot of activity. I bet you, Marlene. I'm doing well, Eric Baker. I'm doing well. I was talking to Jimmy Patanito, who I just interviewed. He was the camera guy for the Warrens, and had done some work with Father Malachi Martin, and we were talking about that psychic photos where you just randomly take your camera, not the digital, but just like an old camera, and just start taking pictures. I think next time I go up there, where Mezek disappeared, I'm gonna do a couple of those, especially at that rock area where I did the dowsing rods up there and such. So another feral experience right here. I live in West Virginia and have all my life. I don't come from a rich family, and I am not rich myself. I live in a single wide trailer with my 2-year-old son outside of the town of Gary in McDowell County. My boyfriend is a truck driver and is only home ever so often. I'm kind of used to being alone with my son here at night. My closest neighbor is 3 miles away, and my trailer sits back in the woods. This is a mountain town. I grew up hearing scary stories of monsters, but I never saw anything growing up. I never saw anything until now, and I want to share this with you. What people are talking about is most definitely what is stalking us here, because I know it is not a Sasquatch or a Dogman. I've never seen either, but I think I would know if I'd seen one. So it started in the summer. I clean houses for a living, and I was leaving the last house of the day and had just gone to pick up my son from the babysitters, and we were heading home. It was exactly 8 p.m. when we turned onto my driveway. My driveway is very long, sand driveway surrounded by trees and woods on both sides. I hadn't even gotten to my house when I saw a man jump from one tree on the right side of the driveway to a tree on the left side of the driveway. And that's like 30 feet in the air. He just jumped how a monkey would swing from a tree. He did this in front of my car as I was still driving slow to get to the trailer. It's bumpy sand on the driveway, so I never go more than 10 miles an hour. At that moment, I wasn't sure what I saw, but I know that it was a man. I saw its skin and its torn clothes, arms, legs, all of that man would have. I did not see his face. I hit my brakes. My son is still in the back seat, almost asleep. I didn't question what I saw or try to make any sense of it because I know it was some sort of creature. Yeah, I was scared. My first thought was my son. I only stopped there in the driveway for a second, and then I went ahead and sped up to go on and get down the driveway so I could get into my house with my son as fast as possible. I passed those trees, and to my left, I'm just looking around to see if it was there. I didn't see anything. I just kept on going. It's about dark, but I can still see. I see my trailer around the corner ahead, and I see a little movement. Okay, so let me add here that it is not uncommon for deer or other animals to be around my trailer. That is normal. But there were people up ahead, and one of them was in my trash bag. I don't have trash service out here, so I sometimes just sit a bag out on the porch and haul it myself to the dump. So a man was in my trash. I get closer, and all of these people hear my car and headlights lighting up the area. I see like 4 of these crazy things run off into the woods. I saw one of them real well, but it was his face that scared me. The thing had dirt and mud all over its face, and there was something wrong with its face because it didn't look right. Its eyes were way too up on its forehead, and it had a hump on its back. It had some dark pants, but no shirt, and the chest and back had a lot of brown hair. Its nipples were huge and dark, and I could see it through its hair. It was barefoot. This was the thing that was digging in my trash. It ran off, but it didn't seem to be in such a rush as the others to get back to the woods. I lost sight of them all and waited before I went any further because of my son. I didn't have a gun on me or anything, so I was careful. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, letting it idle before I drove up to my house. I grabbed my son and ran inside because of no cell service in my driveway. I called my uncle once I got inside. My uncle said I was seeing crap, but he came out there an hour later and looked around. Lord, I was so scared while my son and I sat there waiting for my uncle. When he got there, he's a big guy and had weapons on him. He investigated. He came back to the front door, white as a ghost. When he came in, he said he had seen the devil in the woods and that we are getting into his truck with my son and getting the hell out of here. We never called the police or anything. What were we going to tell the police? The winter came and nothing. Then in March, my boyfriend was home. We heard scratching at night on the side of the trailer, a metal sound. We went outside to look, but there wasn't anything there. He smelled an odor that he described as rotten pig. Rotten pig feet. If you've ever eaten pig feet, you will know what I mean. We smell bad things a lot out here, and we see things moving in our trees, but now my boyfriend will be moving us to another state because he starts a new job here in a couple of weeks. But there are wild clans of feral human in the West Virginia mountains. Randy, what's going on? Jody Sugar, how are you? Boom Squad, I really think, Shari, how are you? I really think that we will never have a great photo or a video because of the magnetic whatever these creatures may possess or disrupt. And I think that's how they're able to use portals. I think that's why we get a lot of shitty photos like potato cam photos, but that's just a theory, you know. Wait for him to go by a little bit and we'll scare the shit right out of him. Tiggy's downstairs. He knows the fireworks are going off in a minute. Oh. So is everybody having a good 4th? You guys have any picnics today? Listening from Manitoulin Island? Where is that? Manitoulin Island. Where is Manitoulin Island? Dude from Texas is having a picnic. Jeff is going to get a wellness check. Shut up, Andy Davis. Don't jinx me. No, Tigger's actually downstairs chilling out on the couch. He just likes going downstairs. I lock it. I don't let him go downstairs often because like I have the whole building, but I don't know. I don't want him to ever escape on me because my whole life would be ruined. My youngest turned 5 today. Well, happy birthday, Brandy Boone's youngest. Oh, in the Great Lakes. Okay. Awesome. The Pacific Northwest. In the old rainforest of the Pacific Northwest. I had barbecue chicken, tater tots, stuffed eggs, baked beans. Wife and dogs are going to hate me later. Absolutely, Brada. Absolutely. Your underwears are going to hate you later, too. Oh, thank you, Sandra. I don't know what I'm having yet. I don't know. I might make some like hard boiled eggs or something. I had a tossed salad. I'm on a diet. I gotta start eating better. You know what I mean? Like, oh, she turned red. Ha ha. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Brandy Boone, Little Junior. Happy birthday, Little Junior Brandy Boone. Robert Sharp, stuffed. Where are you stuffed, Robert Sharp? Ha ha. Oh shit. Brandy Boone's daughter's watching. Sorry. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why do I say these things? I'm such a bad influence. Yeah, well, since my dad came home, mountain bike kid, what's going on? They are incredibly fast. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the speed. I like, okay, here's something. Even with Blue, the gentleman out of Florida that Dark Waters and I both interviewed, and I was only like, I only had that opportunity because James introduced me to him. I really think the way that thing moved was, I think he got a video because one, it was live. Two, that like it there was some maybe some disruption. I don't know. I think it was a lot of it had to do with it being a live video though. You know what I mean? Like instead of just a video to where I don't know. I've often thought about that. Did you get my email about the off limits area in Daniel Boone Forest? I did, Matt. I did. I got it in my email print. I think I printed it out last night, or I was going to. It's still in there, in my starred box right now, actually. Yeah, I'm glad everybody's here with me tonight. This is fucking great. This is interesting. This is a good one right here. I live in Northern California foothills. My parents and I moved into a house from the city in 2017 after it had been sitting empty for a couple years. The day we moved in, my mom and I arrived first to clean while my dad and brother drove the moving truck. Right off the bat, I was very uneasy, but tried to write it off. The property felt heavy. It's the only way I can describe it. I've heard people describe the feeling of being watched inside of their homes, but I had not. I had that feeling anytime I stepped outside. We were going to sweep and mop the floors, dust the baseboards and windowsills when I started to notice this white granular powder all along the baseboards and windowsills and doorways. I immediately told my mom, who told me not to worry about it and sweep it up. By the time I had swept every room and cleaned off the windowsills, I was certain that it was salt, and a lot of it. But fine, whatever. The people that lived here before us were superstitious. Okay, I can live with that. We unpacked the truck over the next week. I was setting up my room when the next bizarre event started to happen. Knocking on windows, always, quick raps, sounded like someone knocking with their knuckles. It would happen so often on all of the windows in the house. But when you would turn, no one would be there. You'd go outside and no one would be around the house. This was escalating. My brother and I would walk the dogs around the property. They were getting older, small dogs who were always good-natured and calm, except for when they were outside at this new house. They would growl and puff up and get extremely agitated. They hated being outside. Then we started finding animal carcasses. They were always small creatures, rats, toads, bats, and the biggest we ever found was a raccoon. The animals were always gutted, a single deliberate line down the torso, starting at their chest and ending near their ass. No internal organs left. It looked practically mummified, like something had sucked the fluid, blood, and organs right from them. It was one of the most bizarre and brutal things I had ever seen. My brother would stay up late in his room on his computer every night. He liked to game with his friends until the early morning. He does not spook easily, but on more than one occasion, I would wake up to him shaking me awake, terrified, saying something massive on two legs was walking outside of his bedroom window, which he would have opened at night. He said it would walk right up to his bedroom window, stop, and when he looked toward the sound, he could hear it scramble away. I never saw it with my own eyes, and neither did he. But the motion lights outside would activate every time, leading to the woods near the back of the property. I know what you're probably thinking. All of this up until this point can be explained away rationally. A crazy person living in the woods, some neighbor messing with us for whatever reason. Well, that was what I told myself too, so I could sleep a little easier. Then the banging started. It was loud, and it would sound like it was coming from everywhere at once. The walls would literally vibrate, picture frames rattling right off of the walls. It was like something massive, stronger than any crazy person was pounding on the exterior of the walls could do. Always late at night and always in more places than one. I could never pinpoint the source directly. My brother and I would stumble out of our bedrooms petrified. My mom would lead us to her room where we would stay after that. My dad would walk the perimeter of the property with his gun, but never found a thing. No footprints, no people, nothing. This happened for maybe 6 months, and every time a major event would happen, my dad would walk the perimeter with his rifle and come back with nothing. We felt like we were going crazy. Then suddenly it stopped. The mutilated animals stopped appearing. I stopped feeling like I was being watched every time I went outside. The dogs stopped being on edge every time they went outside, and the property felt lighter, like it finally took a deep breath after holding it for a long time. I generally have no explanation or a clue as to what that creature, being, entity was. I'm just glad it seems to have moved on. War Angel, what's going on? 59th, how are you? I think I said hi. Roberta, how are you? Moondog Rex, what's going on? Yeah, forbidden. I've heard that with cows as well. I actually, a couple of years ago, there was a farmer that I interviewed that talked about it. Definitely not anything new. They're gross. Little Bigfoot needs a little loving, so let's get some cows or horsies. Time is it? All right, fireworks are starting. I can hear them. God damn it. Hello, everyone. I had a bizarre encounter close to an abandoned Brooksbury brick factory in Manchester, New Jersey. To start off, my brother had taken me to this place before. I thought it was pretty cool, so I decided to go back there with a group of friends one night. And to my horror, we encountered something that I never thought was real. So as I stated above, my friends and I came back to the Brookbrae brick factory to explore it shortly after my brother took me and his friend. He warned us never to go back there at night, but we did not heed his warning seriously to never go there at night. He told me it was because he had some strange experiences there that haunted him for a long time. I thought he was joking. But to fast forward to the experience, my group of friends and I decided to go to the abandoned factory. When we arrived, we decided to go toward the path that led to the factory, and as soon as we got there, we felt this eerie presence, and we felt like we were being watched. My friends and I were spooked, and as our eyes darted all along the woodline, I spotted something. In the woodline up ahead, I saw something that shouldn't be possible or shouldn't exist. To my horror, there was what looked like a werewolf. Its piercing yellow eyes staring into my soul. It gave me the creeps when I looked at it. To describe it, it was tall, abnormally tall. I'd say 8 to 9 feet at its head, with a large wolf-like or dog-like perked ears and a long snout. Its body very similar to an Olympic bodybuilder with large muscles. There was visible mass of fur that was standing there. But its head was similar to a German shepherd or a wolf. Its hands ended in claw-like digits. I blinked to make sure that this was not my imagination, and to my horror, my friends reacted as well. My friends also saw this eerie presence, and they all were startled. To me, I felt like it was beckoning me to get closer, and its stare was so quiet and soul-piercing, which both weirded me out and gave me a sensation a deer would have while looking in headlights. It felt like it was waiting for the perfect time to strike. It felt like primal sense of fear when looking at this creature. It reminded me of the Egyptian jackal, except that it shouldn't be real. The creature didn't do anything but stare at us and make us feel intimidated. And once we felt like it was gone, we ran out of the area. To this day, I'm still not exactly sure what I saw, but when my brother showed me an illustration of a dog man, it made me shudder with fear. Whatever I saw that night just looked like the illustration my brother showed me, and to this day, I am still in disbelief at what I saw. I will never go back to that location. It felt like I was in danger the entire time. I felt like this creature was trying to intimidate us and warn us to never come back to its territory. In conclusion, I don't know what we saw that night, but I hope I never see it again. And there are things that go bump in the night. Be careful exploring the Pine Barrens, and never go to the Brooksbrae brick factory at night. Gigi, how are you? Long time no see. Happy 4th of July. All right, here we go, kids. Last encounter of the night. 3 decades ago, in the mid-'80s, in the Appalachian forests of central PA, my brother-in-law was hunting whitetail during archery season. He, as well as all of his family, are avid outdoorsmen, hunting, fishing, trapping, boating, camping, etc. In all seasons, this particular brother-in-law was close friends with a well-known outdoorsman from books, documentaries, and at his own TV shows for years, and was as home in the wild as most folks are in their own living room. Late in the afternoon, he tagged a nice buck quite some distance from the cabin, so he quickly gutted it and began the long drag back, hoping to get to camp before dark. As he described it, about 15 minutes into his trek, he began aware of something fouling him. The further he went, the more certain he became that whatever it was following his trail. It probably locked onto the blood scent of the deer. He knew it was big due to the sounds he could hear in the brush and the occasional snort growl-like. He knew there were sightings of mountain lions and bear in the area, as well as bobcat and other kinds of creature, but this just didn't seem to fit any of them. He quickened his pace, but not only did whatever it was behind him keep up, but it started to close the gap. Finally, he took a desperate gamble and threw the deer across his shoulders and sprinted as best as he could through the heavy brush and mountain laurel for the remaining quarter of a mile to camp. After he covered half the distance behind him, he heard this blood-curdling howl from an approximate area where he shouldered the deer. His heart racing, adrenaline pumping. He covered the remaining distance to the cabin in record time, even leaping across a creek while still carrying that buck. All the while, he could hear growls and screams mingled with loud pops and cracks, almost like gunshots. At camp, the others were already returned and standing outside, listening to the commotion when he came running in. They quickly hung the deer in the shed, locked it, and then locked themselves in the cabin. The sounds continued on and off for close to an hour at different points around the cabin. Then everything went quiet. Needless to say, nobody slept very soundly that night. The next morning, they went to investigate the area where the original screaming and sounds had begun, hoping to identify the sound from that. The ground was too hard and rocky to get any tracks, but what they did find, not more than 15 yards from where he had shouldered that deer, none of them could explain. In the middle of a thick stand of mountain laurel, in an area about 20 feet to 20 feet, was literally ripped apart. Laurel is tough, fibrous, bendy. It is impossible to break. These were twisted and snapped like brittle twigs. There were no claw marks or any teeth marks or antler or horn marks, no saw, hatchet marks, just splintered, ripped, torn mountain laurel, some as thick as 2 inches. Whatever it was big and strong and extremely mad. That area was torn apart in a fit of rage. All right. So it is 9:00. I am going to watch fireworks with my daughter. I want to thank you all for joining me on this live stream tonight. I will see you guys all Saturday. Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. And stay well, stay safe. And if you guys do any, don't drive. Get a D&D. All right? All right. I love you guys. Happy 4th.